Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a closer look into the really dynamic world of T20 cricket leagues. Specifically, we'll be comparing the Indian Premier League, the IPL, and the Pakistan Super League, or PSL.
Exactly. And it's fascinating whether you're interested in the on-field action, the big business behind it all, or just how these leagues have become such huge cultural phenomena.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to try and unpack the key differences and maybe some surprising similarities, too, between these two major players in global cricket.
Sounds good. We've looked at quite a bit of material from sports analysis to economic reports to sort of piece together a full picture.
Great. So maybe let's start at the beginning. Their origins. The IPL, that kicked off first, didn't it?
It did. Back in 2008, launched by the BCCI, the Board of Control for Cricket in India. And right from the get-go, the idea was this fusion of top-tier sport and, well, high-gloss entertainment.
A real spectacle from day one.
Absolutely. And you saw that ambition immediately. Think about that first franchise auction in 2008.
Right, that raised a huge amount, didn't it?
Staggering, really. $723.59 million. Just for those initial 8 franchises. It highlights the scale they were aiming for from the very start.
Sets a very different baseline compared to the PSL's beginnings.
Completely different. That initial investment level really shows the different starting points, the financial muscle involved. The IPL just started with, well, much higher stakes and, frankly, investor confidence.
And the PSL, that came along a bit later.
Yeah, 2016, it had, let's say, a few more hurdles to clear initially, some setbacks.
But it caught on quickly, didn't it? Especially in Asia.
It really did. It found its footing and quickly built a very passionate fan base. You could argue its later start reflects a different economic climate and cricketing landscape in Pakistan at the time.
So different circumstances, different pathways to establishing themselves.
Precisely. The IPL had that early advantage, a more established sort of financial environment. The PSL had to carve its own niche, build its identity. The initial team rights sale in 2015, around $90 million, and then later sales like Multan Sultan for $41.6 million over 8 years, showed it was building that financial strength, but from a different starting block.
Okay, let's maybe pivot to the money side more directly. The financial structures seem quite distinct. Team budgets, for instance.
Yeah, huge difference there. By 2024, an IPL team's budget cap reached, what was it, 100 crore?
That's right. And the really striking thing is there's no cap on what they can bid for a single player.
Which led to that massive signing, Mitchell Starc.
INR 24.75 crore. Just incredible.
It really raises questions about the sheer financial firepower in the IPL, doesn't it? That willingness to spend so much on one player. It underlines the intense competition, the high-risk, high-reward game they're playing to get the absolute top global talent.
And how does the PSL compare on that front? Their player acquisition is different, right? More of a draft system.
Exactly. They use a draft system with defined salary categories.
Right.
If you look back at, say, 2018, the total player draft cap for a team was roughly INR 7.76 crore, about $1.2 million back then.
A fraction of the IPL budget.
A tiny fraction. And even looking forward, for 2025, the top platinum category players in the PSL draft have a max salary of, I think, around USD 300,000.
Wow. So putting that in perspective, you mentioned Rishabh Pant's IPL deal for 2025 being 27 crore.
Yes, and the point was made that you could take the top 10 highest paid players in the PSL.
And their combined earnings wouldn't even match that one IPL contract.
It starkly illustrates the difference. IPL auction, intense bidding wars, potentially inflated prices, PSL draft, salary caps, aiming more perhaps for financial balance and distributing talent.
Makes sense. What about other revenue streams? Sponsorship seems like another area with big contrast.
Oh, absolutely. Remember the Vivo deal for the IPL title sponsorship back in 2016?
5 years, huge number, $439.8 million.
Exactly. And now it's the Tata Group. IPL sponsorships reportedly crossed the Rs 1,000 crore mark in 2022. It's just a different scale.
And for the PSL?
Habib Bank Limited had the rights for 3 years, reported at $64.7 million total. So that works out at maybe $6.6 million annually. Still significant money, of course,
But orders of magnitude different from the IPL deals.
Right. And it's telling that for some IPL teams, direct sponsorship can make up, 20 to 30% of their total revenue.
It really speaks to the brand's strength and market reach, doesn't it?
It does. The IPL's established presence, its huge market.
Yeah.
It just attracts much larger deals. That's not to diminish the PSL sponsorships. They're crucial for its health and growth. But the comparison is quite stark.
Okay, and media rights, another massive factor.
Huge. After the first decade, Star India's winning bid for the IPL's broadcast and digital rights for 5 years was, Well, $2.5 billion.
It's just a colossal figure.
It really is. Compare that to the PSL's earlier domestic and international rights deals, which were reported around $15 million.
Though I saw the upcoming PSL rights deal is significantly higher, around $24 million.
Yes, that's a positive sign of growth for the PSL. But the gap is still immense. And you see it in viewership, too.
Right, the numbers you mentioned earlier. PSL digital views in 2024 around 150 million.
Whereas the IPL final alone in 2023 on GeoCinema reportedly drew over 32 million concurrent viewers at its peak.
It just reflects the massive difference in audience size and the media market in India.
Absolutely. India's cricket fan base is enormous, and the media landscape is incredibly competitive, which just drives up rights values for the IPL. The PSL has a strong, passionate following in its core markets, but it hasn't quite achieved that same global broadcast reach yet.
Even prize money tells a similar story.
It does. Back in 2018, the IPL prize pool was reported at $9 million total, with the winners getting $4 million.
And the PSL equivalent for their third season.
The winner got $1 million from a total pool of $3.5 million. More recently, the 2024 PSL winner's prize was around 4.13 crore. Again, substantial, but significantly less than the IPL.
So all this feeds into the overall brand value, I suppose.
Inevitably. The IPL's valuation journey has been incredible, from around $4.16 billion in 2016
to over $6 billion in 2018, then crossing $10 billion in 2022, a decacorn.
Yeah, and projections hitting $12 billion possibly by 2025. It's a testament to how successfully they've blended sport, entertainment, and commerce in a massive market. It's among the most valuable sports leagues globally now.
And the broader economic impact, does that follow the same pattern?
Largely, yes. There was an estimate back in 2015 that the IPL contributed something like $11.5 billion to India's GDP.
That's significant.
It is. And the PSL certainly boosts local economies too, especially in host cities, tourism, small businesses getting support. It plays an important role.
But the scale is different given the IPL's longer history and larger financial footprint.
Right. The BCCI itself saw a huge revenue jump predicted around 2010-11, driven heavily by the IPL alongside things like the World Cup. Both leagues create economic ripples, but the IPLs are, well, naturally bigger given its scale.
Okay, fascinating financial comparison. Shall we shift focus a bit? Maybe look at the dynamics actually on the field, rules, team composition, that sort of thing.
Good idea. The IPL has some specific rules there. Team squads, for example.
Yeah, minimum 16 players, right? And a limit on foreign players.
Max 8 foreign players in the whole squad, but crucially, only 4 can be in the playing 11 for any given match.
Which means a minimum number of local Indian players are always involved.
Exactly. At least 8 local players, and they also mandate at least 2 under-22 players who are part of the BCCI system.
So that's designed to balance the international star power with nurturing domestic talent.
Precisely. It's a core part of the structure, ensuring Indian players get that high-level exposure, playing alongside and against the world's best. It's vital for the pipeline of Indian cricket.
A pathway for young talent.
Definitely. It provides that high-pressure environment, top coaching. It's been a huge factor in developing India's talent pool.
Are there any quirky rule differences in the IPL compared to standard international T20?
Well, the most obvious one is probably the strategic timeout.
Ah, yes, those breaks mid-innings.
2 per innings, usually taken around the end of the 9th and 16th overs. It allows teams a moment to regroup, strategize.
And perhaps allows for more advertising breaks, too.
Well, yes, that's certainly part of the commercial aspect. They also don't have a super strict innings time limit like in some international rules, though umpires can penalize teams for deliberately slow over rates.
So these little tweaks add to the IPL's unique flavor and its commercial model.
They do. The strategic timeout especially has really become part of the rhythm and tactics of an IPL game.
It's interesting to think back to the early IPL salaries, too. You mentioned the minimums.
Right. For the very first seasons, under-22 players had a minimum of US $20,000 annually. Other players a minimum of US $50,000.
Seems almost quaint now compared to the big numbers.
It does. And remember, the first really big buys, players like Andrew Flintoff, Kevin Peterson, they went for US $1.55 million each back then.
Which was huge news at the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But looking back, it just shows how exponentially the player market and the league's finances have grown since 2008.
Let's talk more about that talent development aspect. You mentioned the IPL being a pathway for Indian players.
Undeniably, so many current Indian national team stars, really cut their teeth in the IPL, didn't they? They gained experience, confidence.
Facing top international bowlers, playing alongside legends, it must be invaluable.
It absolutely is. That exposure to high-quality competition, intense pressure situations,
Yeah.
it's a fantastic proving ground.
And does the PSL serve a similar function for Pakistani cricket?
Yes, very much so. It's crucial. It provides that platform for emerging Pakistani talent to get noticed, to play with and learn from international players.
Fostering that cross-cultural exchange within teams, too.
Exactly. That interaction is incredibly beneficial for player development and just lifting the overall standard. The PSL has become a vital feeder system for the Pakistan national side.
It's always interesting hearing from players who've played in both. I remember Sam Billings commenting on it.
Yes, acknowledging the IPL's sort of prominent position, its scale in the global game.
Which reflects the general perception, doesn't it? The IPL's global recognition.
It does. His view mirrors how many see it, the IPL's financial power and reach give it a unique standing. But that doesn't take away from the PSL's own significance, its passionate following, and its importance for Pakistan cricket. It's carved out its own vital space.
Let's switch gears slightly to the fans and how the leagues engage them. The IPL franchises seem very active online.
Oh, hugely active. Social media is massive for them. You see everything: dance reels, player pranks, funny skits.
All aimed at building that connection, that loyalty.
Exactly. They really lean into meme culture, influencer collaborations.
Yeah.
It's all about keeping fans engaged year-round, not just during the season.
And exploring newer tech, too, like VR and AR.
Yeah, they're starting to experiment with more immersive experiences. It reflects how sports engagement has changed. Digital interaction is key now for building that community feel.
And the IPL has that unique element of Bollywood star ownership, like Shah Rukh Khan with Kolkata Knight Riders. That must broaden the appeal significantly.
Without a doubt. It brings in audiences who might not be hardcore cricket fans initially. It massively boosts visibility, brand value. It connects the league to the wider culture in India.
It makes the IPL a huge ratings driver for media there, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That intersection of cricket and mainstream entertainment has been a masterstroke. Remember that funny story about a fan caught screaming a different league during an IPL match?
Vaguely, yeah.
It kind of shows the wide interest, but also how central the IPL is.
Okay, let's get a bit more analytical. There's some really complex work being done to evaluate performance, isn't there? Beyond just wins and losses.
Yes, definitely. People are using things like multi-criteria decision-making methods. You might hear acronyms like TOPI SIS or MORA.
Okay, what do those actually do?
Essentially, they allow for ranking teams based on a whole range of factors, not just the final result. So you can weigh things like net run rate, consistency across matches, performance in specific phases of the game, like the power play or death overs.
So it gives a more nuanced picture than just looking at the league table.
Exactly. A more objective, comprehensive assessment of a team's strengths and weaknesses across different dimensions of performance.
And machine learning is being used, too, to predict outcomes.
Yes, algorithms like SVM, support vector machines, or logistic regression are being trained on historical match data to try and predict future results.
Fascinating. And even analyzing things like captaincy.
Yeah, some studies look at whether the captain's nationality correlates with, say, reaching the playoffs or the top four. That's all part of the growing sophistication in sports analytics, trying to find any edge.
Data-driven decision-making is becoming huge.
It really is. Teams are constantly analyzing their own performance, their opponents, looking for patterns, insights.
I also read about algorithms being used for squad building, especially around auctions.
Right, things like NSGA2. It's basically a sophisticated optimization technique. It helps teams model how to build the strongest possible squad while staying within their budget constraints.
So trying to get the most bang for their buck in the auction.
Pretty much. And there's even deep analysis of individual player performance, like using artificial neural networks, complex systems that kind of mimic brain function to analyze bowling patterns, identify areas for improvement, things like that.
It shows how data-focused modern cricket management has become.
Absolutely. It's all about using these advanced techniques to optimize performance and gain that competitive advantage.
Of course, it's not all smooth sailing. Both leagues face challenges.
For sure. The PSL, for instance, has historically had to deal with security concerns, which impacted hosting matches initially, and ensuring long-term financial sustainability is always an ongoing focus.
Those are significant hurdles.
Definitely. Addressing them effectively is key for the PSL to keep growing and solidifying its place.
And there was some talk about a potential clash in the schedule between IPL and PSL in 2025.
Yes. Because of the ICC Champions Trophy being shifted, it highlights the increasingly crowded global cricket calendar.
Makes scheduling tricky.
Very tricky. Avoiding major overlaps between these big leagues and international tournaments is a constant balancing act for the governing bodies. It impacts players, fans, broadcasters, everyone.
But despite challenges, both leagues seem to be constantly evolving.
They have to. They're adapting all the time, adopting new technologies, finding innovative marketing approaches, refining their governance.
That constant evolution is crucial for staying relevant, isn't it?
Absolutely. In such a fast-moving sports and entertainment landscape, you can't stand still. That adaptation is key to their continued success and ability to capture fans' imaginations.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, it's pretty clear, isn't it? The IPL and PSL are both hugely important T20 leagues, but they've taken quite different routes.
Very different histories, distinct financial models, and maybe slightly different cultural impacts too.
The IPL had that early start, the massive financial backing. It cemented itself as a real dominant force globally.
No question. Its scale is just immense. But the PSL, while younger and maybe operating on a different financial level, is growing strongly. It plays such a crucial role for cricket in Pakistan, and its fan base is incredibly passionate.
Yeah, that's a key takeaway. One boasts this huge financial power, the other maybe thrives more on that passionate support and its role in national cricket development.
But both are vital parts of the global T20 picture. They contribute in different ways.
Okay, so maybe a final thought for our listeners to ponder. As these two leagues keep evolving, and maybe even competing more directly in the future, what do you think are the biggest factors that will shape their success and influence going forward?
That's a great question.
Is it purely about the money? Or is it about the talent they nurture and attract? Or maybe how well they connect with their fans, both existing and new ones?
It's likely a mix of all three, isn't it? That balance between financial power, the quality on the field, and genuine fan engagement.
It'll definitely be fascinating to watch how these two T20 giants continue to develop and influence cricket around the world.